Well, folks, it seems China's decided to play a little game of economic chicken with India. They've basically said, we're cutting you off. No more electronics investments for you. And it's not like they're talking about a few stray yuan here. We're talking big money, folks, the kind that built factories, funded startups, and basically turned India into a smartphone-slinging, laptop-loving powerhouse. This whole thing is messier than a plate of noodles after a toddler's had their way with it, so buckle up because we're about to unpack this geopolitical dumpster fire and try to figure out what the hell happens next. All right, let's rewind the tape a bit. China and India, those two behemoths of Asia, they go way back. For years, it was all smiles and handshakes, a regular economic bromance. China, flush with cash and ambition, saw India's massive population and thought, jackpot. They poured money into India's electronics sector like it was going out of style. Factories popped up faster than you could say made in China. Well, technically made in India, but you get the point. Smartphones, laptops, gadgets galore, you name it, India was churning it out, often with Chinese parts and expertise. It was a win-win, or so it seemed. China got to expand its empire, India got jobs and a tech sector that was the envy of many, but as with any relationship, especially one involving two countries with a history as long and complicated as a Tolstoy novel, things got, well, let's just say they got complicated. Political tensions started bubbling up, like a pot of instant noodles left on high for too long. Border disputes, trade spats, you name it, they argued about it. And then bam, China slams the brakes on electronics investment. So what drove China to make this move, you ask? Well, imagine you're at a dinner party and your date, let's call him She, keeps stealing food off your plate. You try to be polite, but after he spears the last dumpling, you might just lose your cool, right? That's kind of what's happening here. First, you've got those pesky border disputes, those geopolitical pimples that just won't seem to clear up. Then there's India, flexing its Make in India muscles, trying to wean itself off Chinese goods. And let's not forget those sanctions India slapped on some Chinese companies, citing data security concerns, which, let's be honest, is often code for we don't trust you further than we can throw you. China's response? A big, fat economic middle finger. They're basically saying, oh, you want to be self-reliant? Fine, try doing it without our cash and tech. It's a power play, plain and simple. China wants to remind India who's holding the economic cards. Now, you don't need a degree in economics to know this move is sending shockwaves through India. It's like someone just pulled the rug out from under their electronics sector. Imagine you're a young Indian entrepreneur, your startup about to take off, but you were counting on that sweet, sweet Chinese funding. Well, guess what? Time to update your resume. Many Indian electronics companies, especially the smaller ones, are heavily reliant on Chinese investment and technology. This ban is like taking away their toys and telling them to go build their own. And let's not forget the supply chain chaos this is unleashing. India still imports a boatload of electronic components from China. This ban, it's like putting a giant beaver dam in the middle of their supply chain. Factories could grind to a halt. Jobs could disappear faster than a politician's promise during an election year. The Indian government is now scrambling, trying to figure out how to soothe the nerves of investors and keep their tech dreams afloat. Chapter 4. Global Consequences, Supply Chains, Companies and New Opportunities. This isn't just a lover's spat between two Asian giants. This is a full-blown economic earthquake, and the aftershocks are going to be felt globally. Remember those supply chain woes I mentioned earlier? Yeah, those are about to go global. India is a major player in the electronics manufacturing game. Disrupt that, and suddenly your new smartphone delivery might get delayed. And don't even get me started on the multinational corporations caught in the crossfire. They're like deer in headlights, trying to figure out if they should side with the panda or the tiger. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom, where one door slams shut, another one creaks open, often awkwardly. This whole debacle could be a golden opportunity for other countries with tech ambitions. Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, they're all probably polishing their business cards as we speak, ready to swoop in and fill the void left by China. Chapter 5. India's response, fighting back and finding new partners. Now, India isn't just going to take this lying down. They're busy dusting themselves off and plotting their revenge, or at least their comeback story. The government is pulling out all the stops, promising incentives to local businesses like their Oprah giving away cars. You get a factory, you get a tax break, everyone gets subsidized electricity. They're also sending out feelers to those aforementioned countries with tech prowess, hoping to strike up some lucrative partnerships. Japan, with its history of high-quality electronics, seems like a natural fit. And then there's the diplomatic route. Sure, China might be acting like the unreasonable one right now, but that doesn't mean they won't at least pick up the phone. Expect a lot of tense negotiations and carefully worded statements in the coming months. Chapter 6. The risks for China. What could go wrong? Now you might be thinking, China's playing hardball. They must have this all figured out, right? Well, not so fast. This whole gamble could blow up in their faces faster than you can say trade war. First off, they're essentially slamming the door on the market of 1.4 billion potential consumers. That's like refusing to sell ice cream at the beach in summer. A bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them. Then there's the whole burning bridges thing. Chinese and Indian companies have spent years building relationships, signing deals, and generally making nice. This ban, it's like pouring gasoline on all that goodwill and tossing in a lit match. And let's not forget the reputational damage. Other countries might look at this and think, maybe China isn't the most reliable business partner after all. Not exactly a ringing endorsement for future trade deals. Chapter 7. What's next? A future of uncertainty. So what does the future hold? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. We're in uncharted territory here, folks. The optimist in me wants to believe that cooler heads will prevail, that China and India will kiss and make up, and we can all go back to buying cheap electronics without worrying about geopolitical drama. But this is 2023, and optimism is about as rare as a sober night out in Vegas. It's entirely possible that these trade restrictions become the new normal, a sort of economic Cold War between two Asian superpowers. Or maybe, just maybe, this whole thing will spark a new era of global cooperation, with countries realizing that working together is a hell of a lot more productive than trying to trip each other up. Chapter 8. Final Thoughts. Navigating an Uncertain Future. One thing's for sure, this isn't just about smartphones and laptops anymore. It's about power, it's about influence, and it's about who gets to write the rules of the global economy. And right now, those rules are being rewritten faster than a teenager changes their relationship status on Facebook. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're in for a bumpy ride. As for India's tech sector, well, they're a resilient bunch. They've weathered storms before and they'll weather this one too. Who knows, they might even come out of it stronger, more independent and less reliant on China. And if that happens, well, let's just say China might just regret throwing that economic punch. Outro China's bold move, the fallout begins. So, there you have it. The world of international trade, everyone where the stakes are high, the players are shady, and the rules are made up as we go along. Look, it's entirely possible this all blows over and everyone goes back to pretending to like each other at the next G20 summit. But it's just as likely this is the start of something much, much bigger. Whatever happens, one thing's for certain. We'll be here next week, picking apart the wreckage and trying to figure out how the hell we got here.